Rachel Zegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney as a whole.
Jonah Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco, Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler. EV Magazine wrote on X, when you compare how Rachel Zegler spoke about Snow White to how other actresses who played live-action Disney princesses spoke about their character, really underlines just how poorly she carried herself.
An unfolding drama surrounding Disney's troubled live-action Snow White remake has now culminated in a high-stakes legal session as Rachel Zegler reportedly attended an emergency meeting with the studio's lawyers. According to multiple insiders, tensions between the actress and the Walt Disney Company have escalated to such a degree that the star was urgently summoned to discuss potential contract violations, reputational damage, and the possibility of looming lawsuits.
In the thick of rehearsals for Romeo plus Juliet, so I'm going to get out of here. Bye for now. The Variety story notes how a couple of minutes after posting this, she replied to her own tweet and wrote, "And always remember, free Palestine."
This latest twist sheds new light on a production already marred by box office woes, social media backlash, and behind-the-scenes disputes. For months, rumors have swirled about who bears ultimate responsibility for the film's disastrous reception.
Variety breaks down how after this tweet went viral, the studio was shocked that she would mix a promo tweet with a political statement. As a result, Mark Platt flew to New York to speak with her in person.
While studio executives, cast members, and even outspoken fans have all pointed fingers in various directions. Now, Zegler's emergency meeting places her at the center of the controversy, raising pivotal questions about how this once promising project deteriorated into a fiasco. It also highlights the broader implications and underlines key points that resonate with how this issue impacts stakeholders and the audience alike.
Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Zegler isn't the only one who has made political statements, though. Her co-star Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, expressed her staunch support for Israel,
illustrating the fragility of brand loyalty and star power under intense public scrutiny. This surprising legal turn arrives in the wake of earlier reports suggesting that Disney was weighing its options to recoup losses stemming from the film's dismal theater revenues and shattered critical standing. At first, the narrative emerging from Disney's side hinted that leading performers, including Rachel Zegler and co-star Gal Gadot, may have breached certain promotional obligations.
Snow White's budget was around $240 to $270 million. It has made $43 million domestically so far and around $84 million globally per Box Office Pro.
Or disparaged the original 1937 classic in ways that undercut the brand Snow. Recent claims from Zegler's camp allege that internal sabotage and corporate politicking might have played a more significant role in the project's downfall than any single actor's public remarks. The fact that the actress was called into a sudden face-to-face discussion with Disney's legal team suggests that tensions have boiled over.
The film received backlash for various reasons in the lead-up to its release. Zegler had called the original Snow White movie dated and weird and said Prince Charming was a stalker,
possibly pushing the studio to adopt a more aggressive legal posture if negotiations fail. It also highlights the broader implications and underlines key points that resonate with how this issue impacts stakeholders and the audience alike, signifying a potential watershed moment in Hollywood, where studios and their top talent grapple for control of the narrative amid massive financial stakes for Disney.
EV Magazine wrote on X, when you compare how Rachel Zegler spoke about Snow White to how other actresses who played live-action Disney princesses spoke about their character, really underlines just how poorly she carried herself.
The commercial and reputational risks could hardly be higher. The original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs stands as a landmark in cinematic history, widely credited with establishing Walt Disney's dominion in animated filmmaking and launching the studio's golden era.
I'll quickly mention this. The son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, Jonah Platt is the son's name, he is speaking out publicly against Rachel Zegler and blaming her for the film's catastrophic failure at the box office.
Expectations for this modern remake were naturally sky-high. A lavish production budget, a cast featuring household names, and a storyline purportedly adapted for contemporary sensibilities. Yet the film's debut proved a harsh reality check as critics condemned its departures from the beloved source material.
I mean, he's totally right. Now, of course, as we covered, the movie is terrible anyway in its own right. It was probably going to underperform regardless. People are tired of the soulless cash grab remake thing.
While many longtime Disney enthusiasts accuse the studio of forsaking the classic soul in favor of trendy messaging, inside the corridors of Disney headquarters, panic ensued when it became obvious that the film wouldn't merely underperform.
The movie has all kinds of problems that could be pinned partly on the producer. Like, the producer did not do a good job. Nobody who produced this movie did a good job.
It might actively damage the prestige associated with the Snow White brand by convening an emergency meeting with Rachel Zegler. Disney appears to be both attempting a last-ditch rescue of its public image and preparing for the possibility that internal conflicts might explode into full-blown legal confrontations. This scenario also highlights the broader implications and underlines key points that resonate with how this issue impacts stakeholders and the audience alike, underscoring the delicate balance between modern reinterpretations of iconic tales and the powerful nostalgia factor that drives the company's fortunes.
Apart from all of the political controversy started by the actress, so the movie had all kinds of problems creatively and conceptually.
Insiders with knowledge of Ziegler's legal meetings say the actress arrived accompanied by her own counsel, signaling that she fully anticipated a contentious session. Reportedly, the crux of Disney's concerns revolves around how her interviews and online posts depicted certain cherished aspects of the original 1937 masterpiece. Some watchers suspect the studio is gathering evidence to claim that Ziegler's remarks calling the prince creepy or labeling older story elements outdated.
There's no doubt that she drove the final nail into this movie's coffin. She probably drove the final 2 or 3 nails into the coffin.
Violated a stipulation requiring cast members to uphold and protect Disney's legacy. However, Ziegler's representatives have countered these accusations by arguing that Disney itself instructed the cast to emphasize the film's progressive angle, fueling the perception that what once seemed like forward-thinking commentary could now be twisted into a contractual breach. If the studio desires, this highlights the broader implications and underlines key points that resonate with how this issue impacts stakeholders and the audience alike, including the notion that creative mandates sometimes land performers in the crosshairs. When a project backfires while Rachel Zegler navigates a legal minefield.
And a lot of what you see with Zegler is really just this pretty common Gen Z mentality and approach to work.
Questions remain about Gal Gadot, who has faced her own share of criticism for allegedly dodging direct questions about the film's controversy. Although Gadot has not been called into a publicized emergency meeting, at least not yet. Industry onlookers wonder if similar conversations are happening behind closed doors.
She believes that she should be able to express herself and speak her truth or whatever nonsense, regardless of the consequences to everybody else.
The rumor mill suggests that Guido's contract might include clauses about media cooperation and brand protection, leaving the door open for Disney lawyers to pursue her as well. For now, though, Zegler appears to be the primary focus of Disney's legal scrutiny. This dynamic underscores a vital reality of Hollywood. While A-listers often enjoy significant leverage,
in reality, you have a job. You're getting paid to do this job. You signed on the dotted line. You took on the role. You took the job. And that job comes with certain basic responsibilities.
They are not immune to studios' efforts to enforce contracts. When a project collapses under the weight of bad press, it also highlights the broader implications and underlines key points that resonate with how this issue impacts stakeholders and the audience alike, such as the tension between high-profile talent who feel they acted in good faith and studios seeking accountability for deep financial losses.
And one of the most basic is the responsibility to control yourself and comport yourself a certain way publicly so that you don't harm the project and thereby harm all the hundreds of other people who are working on it.
Long before this legal summit, alarm bells rang within Disney's executive suite. Test audiences reported that the film's modernized tone undercut the story's whimsical essence. Character arcs had been so thoroughly revamped that one of the central controversies involved the removal or radical redesign of the dwarfs. Those private warnings foreshadowed a rocky road ahead, but few foresaw the scale of the resulting backlash.
Because she's not stupid. Well, she might be stupid, but she's not so dumb that she didn't realize that by, for example, coming out and saying that all Trump supporters deserve to suffer.
Once the initial trailers dropped, social media chatter turned vicious, with many fans claiming the new version repudiated what made Snow White an immortal tale in the first place. Some criticized the film's emphasis on social commentary, while others lamented the loss of light-hearted, old-fashioned magic. And throughout these debates, Rachel Zegler's media soundbites seemingly mocking the original film's romance became a lightning rod for anger, further inflaming the digital outcry. This underscores the broader implications and underlines key points that resonate with how this issue impacts stakeholders and the audience alike, emphasizing how fleeting viral moments can overshadow months of meticulous planning and tens of millions in production costs.
That's her friend screaming.
Wow.
And it's nobody was in there.
Can you go to yeah, that's very, so this is Bob Iger.
Zegler, for her part, has begun to push back against the narrative. Painting her as the chief architect of the film's downfall, leaked correspondence suggests that studio officials explicitly directed cast members to highlight the new Snow White as a modern, empowering figure, going so far as to supply talking points that contrasted sharply with the 1937 classic's approach to romance and gender roles. According to these revelations, Zegler feels unfairly singled out for statements she believed were fully aligned with the marketing blueprint put forth by Disney's promotional teams.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing live-action Disney adaptation ever.
If that's the case, then Disney's pivot to hold her partly responsible now appears disingenuous. Yet the emergency meeting indicates that if no reconciliation can be reached, the studio may escalate its attempts to reclaim financial or reputational damages.